everyone, and welcome to day 7 of my 12 days of anime videos. Today I'm going to be talking about anime and cinema. Here in Australia we got so many films, so many anime films in cinema thanks to Madman, which is our most prolific anime licensor, as well as what came out in cinemas in the US. Of course, I don't have experience, so apologies if I forget something here or there in regards to that, as well as in the UK, thanks to their Scotland Loves Anime Film Festival. But this year, Australia and myself was able to see a huge amount of anime in cinema, which is, whilst not completely unheard of. We've always gotten the Ghiblis and the Shinkais and the Hosoda films in cinema, especially with Madman's own film festival that they used to do, which was called Real Anime. We definitely weren't completely, out of the loop when it came to anime and cinema. I'm pretty sure that the One Piece films and the Dragon Ball films always also came to the cinema, although obviously I'm not a real fan. I'm not a fan of those series, so I never went to go see them. But this year and last year and this coming year, I'm sure we have really seen an uptick in anime coming to cinema. So this year we had not only Mirai, which is Hosoda's most recent film, and not only franchise films like the Fate Stay Night film and the Sword Art Online film and My Hero Academia and the Black Butler film, which was definitely a surprise. We also saw some unattached sort of independent films. We got the directorial debut of Mari Okada with Makuya. We also saw I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, as well as Marrying the Witch's Flower, which is the new film from Studio Ponok, which is Ghibli's sort of successor. Really, really interesting. A lot of these films had extended screenings for usually a week. Some of them I feel like maybe they were one-day events, but generally when anime comes to cinema, especially via Madman, they have a week's full of screenings. We also saw the Erika 7 film this year, and the Sword Art Online film Ordinal Scale actually debuted at a convention here, and then later on had a wide release. I believe another film had a convention debut in my city, at a convention at my city, which I didn't get to see, but I think it was maybe the My Hero Academia film. I don't remember. But it's really interesting because, of course, with franchise films, at least the ones that I managed to see, the cinema was always packed. People were there, and there was a lot of hype around them, a lot of very positive social media buzz. But we also saw a lot of interest in these films like I Want to Eat Your Pancreas and the Marrying the Witch's Flower, which was really full cinema. A lot of people were there. And Makuya and Mirai were fairly empty cinemas. I was one of the only people there, but I think that's more so due to the fact that I'd go see them in the middle of the day when I had time free and nobody else has time free because they have normal jobs. So I'm hoping that this sort of trend is being very profitable and sustainable enough for the Australian market to continue with it, because it's a good trend. And in regards to anime in cinema, of course, like any film, is almost a completely different experience seeing a film on the big screen. Seeing Your Name back in 2016 on the big screen was phenomenal. The music, the animation, the everything. Seeing it in a crowded cinema twice just completely influences how you feel about that movie, how you experience that movie. And it's nice that more and more films are being able to have this treatment. The fact that I was able to see a franchise film from a franchise that isn't super popular. Like it really didn't surprise me that something like My Hero Academia came to cinemas, but it did surprise me that like Black Butler came to cinemas, which obviously one of those things is a lot more popular than the other. In the UK, they also saw Lou Over the Wall, as well as Walk On Girl, and a bunch of other really well-known and popular films at their Scotland Loves Anime Film Festival. Unfortunately, here in Australia, we didn't get those films, but luckily we did. They have put them out on disc already, so I have seen those films. I wish I could have seen them in the movies, but they are beautiful films and really, really fun regardless. And last year, in fact, we actually got A Silent Voice, we got Fireworks, which was a film I completely disliked, but we got it, and No Game, No Life, Zero, which again is another franchise film, but both those last two, Fireworks and No Game, No Life, were films that didn't get a release in the US until this year. So, like, the fact that Australia is getting these movies before the US is sort of shocking. As I said, we also got A Silent Voice, which is a film that the UK got before Australia, but the US didn't get screenings for until this year, I believe. So it's interesting that like different parts of the world are getting different films at different times, and it's you know, that's a bit surprising, especially because of course the US sort of runs the English anime market. Almost every dub is produced there. Licenses are generally claimed or paid for by US companies, and then a lot of times sort of sub-licensed by UK or Australia companies that can't necessarily afford to license things directly from Japan, although that is changing. A Silent Voices dub was actually paid for by the UK and Australia, so I believe it's an American dub, but I don't think an American company was attached to that dub production at all, which is really, really interesting and a little bit curious. But the fact that we are seeing these films and sort of popping up in different countries is really, really exciting. I always look forward to seeing an anime film in cinema because, as I said, it's a completely different experience, but also it allows, especially the non-franchise films, things like Hosoda's films, Mirai this year, and Mary and the Witch's Flower, and Makuya, and I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. I always forget that one because I wanted to see it, but I didn't actually be able to see it. Those films can appeal to a larger audience, a general populace, and I think we've definitely seen a trend within people who want to see, I guess, traditionally animated or 2D animated films again, because with the arrival of the new millennium, 2D animation in the West really seemed to die out. Now we only really get CG from various studios. Of course, Disney and Pixar sort of lead the way, but all these other new studios as well, of course, have just CGI, and it's sort of become a lost art within Western animation, especially cinematic animation. It doesn't really exist anymore, which is a shame because there are strengths and weaknesses to both types of animation, and the way you present a film is very important. So yeah, I think that it's a shame that 2D animation has seemingly become a lost art amongst US films and sort of Western films in general. That's a completely different conversation, but it does allow animation fans and film fans to see a film in a type of medium that isn't really catered to anymore, and it opens up the general populace to this subgenre or this type of film. So I'm hoping that, you know, a lot of these films have a varied, a wide appeal. Things like Your Name was a smash hit all across the world. I'm sure everyone knows, and for good reason, because it's very, very approachable. It's a beautiful film, and again, it appeals to not just anime fans, but film goers in general. A Silent Voice is the same. Unfortunately, didn't have as much of a push from the US, but here in Australia, we definitely had a lot of really excited people, and it was very, very popular. Same as in the UK. Although the UK, a lot of their anime films come out at Scotland Loves Anime, which is a very specific film festival. Your Name, I think, was the one exception to that, and maybe some franchise films like the Dragon Ball stuff are exceptions to that, but Australia's lucky because our anime films are generally detached from film festivals. That's not to say that we don't get anime at film festivals. We do. Every year we have the JFF, the Japanese Film Festival, has a whole slate of films. Generally, most of them are live action, and with a couple anime films as well. So normally it's the new Conan film, and then whatever is sort of popular but not necessarily super popular. I think this year was Napping Princess, which is one that I wasn't able to go see, but there's been a lot of different things over the years. And also at JFF, they usually have the live action adaptations of like various manga and anime. So things like Erased I saw last year, which is not a good adaptation, so don't go see it. I believe the Parasite films, Inuyashiki, came out this year. And the ones that I see, both this year we saw the third and final film, and last year we saw the first two, was the Chihayafuru live action films, which are fantastic. Honestly, like if you're a fan, try and hunt them down because they are really, really good. My sister also managed to see Princess Jellyfish a couple years ago, which was really, really good, and I'm still upset that I wasn't able to go see it myself. So we do have a fairly consistent film festival culture with Japanese anime here, but most of the films are not put out by a film festival, and as such they don't really necessarily follow those rules. They don't have particular screenings in only a few locations. Here, when an anime film comes out, it gets a prolonged weekly screening from Tuesday to the following Wednesday, or Wednesday to the following Tuesday. Getting my days mixed up. And it has 2 screenings every single day. And that's really, really good because it allows people to go see it even if they're busy one day or they can't, work means that their schedule can't see it at a particular time. They can go see it on the weekend or whatever. I think it's a really good system rather than locking it in to just like a film festival, or unfortunately like what the trend has been for the US is been just like a 1 or 2 day event. And if you can't organize your schedule to be on one of those days, then you're out of luck, buddy. So of course, like populations and everything else are completely different between Australia and the US, but it does seem like a shame that the US, which obviously has like a much larger population, it definitely has a lot more people wanting to go see these films compared to Australia, doesn't accommodate for that necessarily. And the US, as I said, you guys have had like very different timing and releases with some of these films. You didn't get Fireworks until this year, which is a film that as I said, I really dislike, and I've disliked since November of last year. But the fact that the US wasn't given screenings until like midway through this year is a little bit surprising. Maquia was a later release in the US than Australia. No Game No Life didn't get a release until this year, and I think that was mainly because of them wanting a dub. Heaven's Feel came out similar times to Australia. A Silent Voice didn't come out until this year, and it was just a few days, like it was a 1 or 2 day event, which was surprising to me. But that doesn't mean that you guys totally miss out. You got the free franchise films this year thanks to Funimation. 11 Arts and Shout Factory and G-Kids have really been pushing anime into cinema for you guys this year. So you did get some films that we didn't get. Mainly the one that I'm upset that we didn't get, but I still want to see is Here Comes Miss Modern, which I really want to see that movie. And again, it's not a big enough film to necessitate screenings here. I don't necessarily think it'd be that popular, but it is a film that I'd like to see in cinemas, but I'll just have to be happy with the disc release. But it was, as I said, it was more so because of 11 Arts and Shout Factory and G-Kids that some of these films even made it to the US, at least in a timely manner. So it's interesting, like, how each country handles this and sort of the trends. Let me know if you saw any anime in cinemas this year and your opinions on things, whether you really liked some films or if you weren't able to go see anything just because it is like a very strict sort of schedule and not very accommodating. It's very few days and very few times on those days, and you just don't have the time for that. It is especially hard when you have to like go into a completely different area to go see a film because there isn't a wide release, obviously. Let me know if there's any films you'd like to see in cinema, especially in this coming year, and whether or not you'll go see things, your own experiences with anime in cinema. And yes, that's all I'm going to say for today's video. I hope you guys enjoy it. As always, I'm Simply G, and I'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye till then.